Hare Krishna, everybody. Hare Krishna. Thank you. So today we are going to speak from the Nectar of Instruction. This is one of Srila Prabhupada's smaller books, maybe 100 pages or so. It's a very, very nice book, which is his commentary and translation on Srila Rupa Goswami's Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So just before we start, we'll sing a little bit, Jai Radha Madhava, and say a few prayers as well. So please join in with me if you know the words. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamunatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Everybody please sing. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Everybody please chant it. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Please sing Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Gokulananda, Radha Gokulananda, Shri Radhe Jaya. Radha Gokulananda, Radha Gokulananda, Shri Radhe Jaya. Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman, Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman, Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman, Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman, Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada, Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo, Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo. So Hare Krishna everybody. If I could kindly request you, maybe if you can face this direction. It's said in the scriptures that we need the eyes of the Shastra to see the Lord. So it's not that we can just look at the deities and we can see the Lord. So it would be nice if everyone can face me, then I can see your beautiful shining faces. I heard some of the children were singing louder than the adults today as well. So we should really chant with our heart, like with our hearts, like the children do. So I'm going to say some prayers, and then we'll speak from the nectar of instruction. If you know these prayers, please join in with me. If you don't, then just fold your hands and think of a spiritual guide, a spiritual mentor, a spiritual teacher, and offer a prayer of gratitude to them. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kathamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pastyatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So, today we are reading from the Nectar of Instruction text number 3. So I'm going to read the Sanskrit, the translation, and a little bit of the start of the purport as well. So, and then we'll speak on that little section of the purport. So this is text number 3, and the Sanskrit is as follows. Utsahan nischayat deryat tat karma pravartanat sangatya gatsato vrete sadbir bhakti prasiddhyati. The translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. There are 6 principles favorable to the execution of pure devotional service. 1. Being enthusiastic. 2. Endeavoring with confidence. 3. Being patient. 4. Acting according to the regulative principles, such as Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, hearing, chanting, and remembering Krishna. 5. Abandoning the association of non-devotees. And 6. Following in the footsteps of the previous acharyas. These 6 principles undoubtedly assure the complete success of pure devotional service. And then a little section from the start of the purport. Devotional service is not a matter of sentimental speculation or imaginative ecstasy. Its substance is practical activity. Srila Rupa Goswami in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.1.11 has defined devotional service as follows. Anya bilashita shunyam jnana karma dhyanavritam anukulyena krishna no shilanam bhaktir uttama. Quote, Uttama Bhakti, or unalloyed devotion unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, involves the rendering of devotional service in a way that is favorable to the Lord. This devotional service should be free from any extraneous motive and devoid of fruitive karma, impersonal jnana, and other selfish desires, unquote. Bhakti is a sort of cultivation, As soon as we say cultivation, we must refer to activity. Cultivation of spirituality does not mean sitting down idly for meditation, as some pseudo-yogis do. Such idle meditation may be good for those who have no information of devotional service, and for this reason it is sometimes recommended as a way to check distracting materialistic activities. Meditation means stopping all nonsensical activities, at least for the time being. Devotional service, however, not only puts an end to the nonsensical mundane activities, but also engages one in meaningful devotional activities. Sri Prahlad Maharaj recommends Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Padasevanam Archanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakyam Atma Nivedanam. The 9 processes of devotional service are as follows. 1. Hearing the name and glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Chanting His glories. 2. Chanting His glories. 3. Remembering the Lord. 4. Serving the Lord's feet. 5. Worshipping the deity. 6. Offering obeisances unto the Lord. 7. Acting as the Lord's servant. 8. Making friends with the Lord. And 9. Surrendering oneself fully to the Lord. So, this is the end of the little section that I'm going to read from the purport today. Just before we start, I would like to thank the organizers for allowing me the opportunity to speak today. I pray to all of you that I may be able to share something that is meaningful for you and that you can actually implement in your life and make progress in your path of Krishna consciousness. So, today we read a little bit about devotional service and many different things about devotional service. So, Srila Prabhupada says in this purport that devotional service means that we need to be engaged in some sort of activity. We need to be doing something. Maybe it's paying our obeisances, or maybe it's remembering Krishna. We need to be doing something. He also mentioned the definition of devotional service that's given by Srila Rupa Goswami as well. And then he spoke about the 9 processes of bhakti, which are given by Sri Prahlad Maharaj in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So, why does Srila Prabhupada include the definition of devotional service in this particular section of the purport? I thought of 2 reasons. So just to remind us, let me read the definition again. And because the Sanskrit is so nice, let me also chant the Sanskrit. Anya vilashita shunyam jnana karma dhyanavrtam anukulyena krishnano shilanam bhaktir uttama. So this is the translation to this verse. Uttama bhakti, or unalloyed devotion unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, involves the rendering of devotional service in a way that is favorable to the Lord. This devotional service should be free from any extraneous motive and devoid of fruitive karma, impersonal jnana, and all other selfish desires. So there are 2 reasons that Srila Prabhupada potentially mentioned this definition of devotional service in this purport. And so I wanted to share these with you because I felt like they were very important. So the first reason is that we can have a clear understanding of our goal. All of us are doing some devotional service in some way, shape or form. Maybe even we're just coming to the temple on a Sunday. This is also a devotional service. Maybe we're paying our obeisances, we're bowing down to the Lord. This is also our devotional service. So we're all doing some kind of devotional service to the Lord. So we need to understand, why are we doing this devotional service? What are we hoping to achieve by doing this devotional service? So here Srila Prabhupada is giving us the goal. What is the standard, the highest standard of devotional service that we should be aiming for when we perform our devotional service? And this is important to mention. Having a clear goal is important because it helps us to align ourselves in times of difficulty. Sometimes our faith may be feeling very low, or we might be feeling very unenthusiastic in our devotional service. We might not want to chant our rounds one day, but we remember this is what we are trying to aim for. This is what we are trying to reach in our devotional service. We want to become free of this extraneous motive that we need. So one analogy is given that when a plane is flying to a destination, say from London to Delhi, for example, how often there's a course which is set for that plane. There's a flight course. So how often do you think that the plane is actually on the flight course? Maybe 80%? Who thinks 80% of the time the plane is actually flying on the course? 80%, okay. Some people think 80%. Maybe 50%? Does anyone think 50%? Less? Okay, so actually what we find is that the airplane, is only on the flight course 20% of the time. Why is that the case? Because there's so much turbulence which is trying to push the plane in a different direction. There's so many different weather conditions that the pilots have to avoid on their journey. And so actually what the pilots are doing when they're flying this plane, they're constantly correcting. They're constantly trying to realign themselves to the designated flight plan. So in our life, similarly in our life, we find when we're trying to reach a goal, we're on this journey to reach this anya bilashita shunyam, this pure devotional service. When we're trying to reach that goal, we have to realign ourselves. That means we have to have vision of the proper destination. We have to have the goal in our mind. The second reason that Srila Prabhupada might have included this definition of devotional service in this particular section of the purport is because it actually allows us to understand the intermediary steps to get to that goal. Now, pure devotional service is a very high goal. It's a very difficult thing to achieve in our life. But Srila Prabhupada is saying to us, create some realistic stepping stones, some stepping stones that we can achieve maybe once every 6 months. I want to achieve this goal in 6 months. Or maybe once every year. I want to achieve this goal in a year. So what is something that we can actually practically do, something that we can work on right now, that we can actually, so that when we do it, we can actually advance towards the ultimate goal that we are trying to achieve. So these are the two reasons. We need the vision of the goal, the destination, and we also need some stepping stones. So for example, maybe I'm feeling like I'm doing motivated devotional service. So what can I do to make my devotional service completely selfless, just for Sri Sri Radha Gokulananda? Srila Prabhupada also says in this particular purport that devotional service means to be practically active. So when a Vaishnava takes Vaishnav sannyas, they usually accept a sannyas danda. Has anyone seen the sannyas danda? I don't know if you've seen, maybe His Holiness Keshav Maharaj has a very big danda. So inside of this danda, there are actually 3 rods, 3 sticks. And these 3 sticks, they represent the body, the mind, and the words. And so the significance of carrying this danda for a sannyasi is that the sannyasi is fully renouncing their body, their mind, and their words in service to Krishna. So they're fully surrendering, they're fully engaging these 3 aspects of themselves just completely for the Lord, unmotivated. So this is the representation of this sannyas danda. This is the meaning behind this sannyas danda. So this can also be done by the 9 processes of bhakti. So we'll talk a little bit more about this in a bit more detail later on in our lecture as well. Srila Prabhupada says, and I quote from the purport that we read today, devotional service is not a matter of sentimental speculation or imaginative ecstasy. Its substance is practical activity. So when we're doing some activity, this means that we need to use our energy or we need to use our time. Time and energy in our lives are very valuable things. We find that when we're working full time, when we've got children, time is very, very difficult thing to obtain. Even maybe sometimes even coming to the temple on a Sunday is such a difficult thing to do, to make time for. And who's got the energy? Today it's like maybe 27 degrees outside. It's hot. It's hot. So who's got the energy to do all of these things? We just want to lie down somewhere and take a nap, sleep. So these are very valuable things that we find in our life. But when we sacrifice something, this means that when we do activity for devotional service, that means that we're sacrificing something very valuable. So when we carry out a particular sacrifice, we can either do it in a motivated way or an unmotivated way. So for example, if we have an employee and they're doing some overtime for their company, that means they're sacrificing their time and energy, but they're doing it in a motivated way. Maybe they want to get some money, some more financial reimbursement. Maybe they want to get some reputation. They want to look good inside of their team, inside of their company. So that's motivated sacrifice. We can also do unmotivated sacrifice. I can see that there are many parents here who have brought their children. The parents are sacrificing so much to raise their children. Just today I was spending some time with some of our friends who have very young children. We were celebrating one of their 4th birthday. And the sacrifice they make to raise their children, to give their children these good principles that they can also live in their life. These are unmotivated sacrifices. The parents don't stand to gain anything from doing such sacrifices, performing such activities. So selflessness is the key to devotional service when it's rendered to the Lord. We want to try to render some selfless devotional service to the Lord. We never hear about or glorify the employees who do overtime, but we're glorifying the parents all the time. We're always talking about the mothers, the fathers who are sacrificing for their children. For someone who's just doing some motivated work to get some money or to get some reputation, we don't hear about their stories, really. Srila Prabhupada also said in this particular quote that I just read, that there is, it's not a matter of speculation, sentimental speculation or imaginative ecstasy. Sometimes we find that our mind, it perceives things that are not reality. It sees things that aren't really there. Sometimes we might see a mirage in a desert, or we might hear something that was no sound. So our mind is actually sometimes creating fictional things. These are fictional experiences. So this speculation and imaginative ecstasy are just symptoms of a fictional mind. And so what we can find is that if we are engaging in these things, if we are doing these things, then they're actually leading us away from our goal. They're hindering us on our path of progress in our devotional service. And they can be distracting, they can cause us to move away from the path of devotional service. And they can be dangerous in that sense. When we're doing devotional service, like Srila Rupa Goswami has described, this attracts the attention of the Lord. He becomes very personal in our life, he becomes very real and very tangible as well. Can anyone think of an example when the Lord came before his devotee? Can anyone think of one? Give me one example. When the Lord came before his devotee. Prahlad Maharaj, yes, thank you. Anyone else? Dhruv Maharaj, yes, thank you so much. So we hear 2 stories of children, 5 years old, 7 years old, Prahlad Maharaj and Dhruva Maharaj, where the Lord appeared before them. What was so special about these 2 children? They were performing devotional service. And actually even Dhruva Maharaj was performing motivated devotional service. He wanted to get a kingdom greater than his grandfather. So the Lord still appeared before him. So this is the power of devotional service, because it really attracts the attention of the Lord. The Lord becomes very real in our life. So Srila Prabhupada also said in this particular purport that bhakti is a cultivation. I'll just read the quote from the purport. Bhakti is a sort of cultivation. As soon as we say cultivation, we must refer to activity. Cultivation of spirituality does not mean sitting idly for meditation. So, the scriptures, they make another analogy. They refer to bhakti as a seedling creeper in the garden of the heart. We tend to our material gardens. Who has a back garden that they have in their house? So I also have a back garden in our house, and a very big back garden. Lots of grass to mow. So that takes a lot of time. Lots of weeds to take out from the ground as well. So that also takes a lot of time. So just like we look after our garden in our homes, we also have to look after the garden in the heart as well. So we have to remove the weeds of pride, of anger, of envy. We have to cut down the brambles of the material concept of life, of ignorance. And we have to water the plant of bhakti by chanting and hearing about the Lord. So I want to tell you one story. We just got our house a couple of years ago, and I think it was earlier this year, we had one new plant that was kind of sprouting up in our garden. I'm not much of a gardener, so I don't know about all of the plants and what they look like and what they do. So we had this new plant, and it was just growing, and I left it there. And it was with a couple of other shrubs in the same flower bed. So it looked nice. It was, it looked fine. And what I noticed is that there were no weeds which were growing in that particular bed. It was just this plant and then a couple of other shrubs. So then one day I thought, okay, let me take a picture of this plant and try and find out what exactly is this plant. So I Googled it, looked on Google, read a few articles. Turns out this plant is a toxic weed. And I was like, oh my God, there's this toxic weed which is growing in my garden. I didn't even know it was there. So I thought, okay, next week I'm going to remove it. So I took out the weed and I threw it in the garbage. And then just 1 week later, all of these weeds started growing out of the ground. All of this other grass started appearing. And I was like, wow, this one toxic weed was stopping all of these other plants growing fully. So this is the power of weeds that are growing in our heart. If we don't remove them, if we don't identify them, if we don't take them out, then we might find that our bhakti, our devotion to the Lord, becomes hindered. It becomes stifled because it's all of the nutrients, all of the water, everything is being taken up by these weeds. So we need to take care of the creeper of bhakti in our heart. So, Srila Prabhupada also talks about meditation in this particular quote. He says that cultivation of spirituality does not mean sitting down idly for meditation. And I thought this was quite interesting because we find in the modern age now we have corporates who are doing meditation 10 minutes at lunchtime, or self-help gurus. There's many self-help gurus which are out there writing books and promising lots of claims to calm your mind, or do this and you'll become successful in the many different things. But we find that these are flawed in some way, because there is some, again, motivation in our service. There is something which is we have a desire for something. So this is not a selfless thing that we're doing. So we find that Arjuna says to Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, in chapter 6, verse 34, he says that the mind is more difficult to control than the raging wind. So what is 10 minutes of meditation at lunchtime going to do for us? Yes, it may help us for 1 hour in our day, but meditation is a very difficult thing to perfect. Very, very difficult thing. To sit down and to just chant, it's a very, very difficult thing. Or just to meditate on something is a very, very difficult thing. Even we find in the Hare Krishna movement, devotees have ants in their pants when they're chanting their japa. They start walking around Tulsi. And I've had this experience, especially on Janmashtami. We come for Janmashtami, Mangalarti on Janmashtami, and after a few late nights of Janmashtami service, and then I'm walking around Tulsi and I'm falling asleep. Walking around, falling asleep. So it's very difficult to chant the holy name, be attentive, meditate on the holy name. But we need to have some positive activity. This means that we can't just sit down idly, do some meditation. We need to be actively engaged in devotional service. This is the whole point of what Srila Prabhupada is saying in this particular purport. And then, what does he do? He gives us 9 ways in which we can be active in our devotional service. And these are the list that has been given by Sri Prahlad Maharaj in the 7th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So I want to focus on 3 of them. I won't list out all 9 of them. They're quite extensive. But I want to focus on 3 of these activities that we can do in our devotional service. Srila Prabhupada has said in other purports, other commentaries, that we can engage in all 9 of these services, or we can just engage in one of them. The result is still the same. If we are able to perfect just one of these processes of devotional service, then we will be able to reach the Anya Bilashata Shunyam, the real, pure devotional service that we've been talking about today. So the first one that I want to talk about is chanting His glories. So, when we are chanting the glories of the Lord, that can be the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, or it can also be like this class format. So I'm speaking about the glories of the Lord and you're hearing. This is very important because it's actually the service of the words. So if you remember when I was talking about the Vaishnav sannyasis, they are surrendering their body, their mind, and their words. Yes. So, when we're chanting about the glories of the Lord, we are offering service of our words, and this helps us to actually control our speech. So we can chant the holy name of the Lord at any time or any place. There's no particular circumstance that is given in the scriptures which is the best. The best is all of the time and all of the places. We can either sing Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you. We can either sing or we can just chant at any time, or any place, whatever we feel comfortable with. And I wanted to read to you from a book, Chant and Be Happy. So these books are very important, which have been given by Srila Prabhupada and the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust. They're very, very good. And there's one excerpt that I wanted to read from you, which is a conversation by George Harrison and Mukunda. Does anyone know George Harrison? What did George Harrison do for us? He gave us the manor, yes. He donated the manor. So the house that we are sitting in right now, George Harrison donated that to Srila Prabhupada. So he was having a conversation with Mukunda, which is one of the devotees, or the disciples of Srila Prabhupada. So he's saying here, they're talking about chanting. So George is saying, it is really the same sort of thing as meditation, but I think it has a quicker effect. I mean, even if you put your beads down, you can still say the mantra or sing it without actually keeping track on your beads. One of the main differences between silent meditation and chanting is that silent meditation is rather dependent on concentration, but when you chant, it is more of a direct connection with God. So did everyone get that? Yes. So George is saying here, we can chant even without the beads. We can just chant wherever we are, wherever we are situated, whatever time that we may be. Why is this so important? Because the holy name has the power to bring the Lord close to our heart. The holy name is considered to be non-different than Krishna himself. And so it is very, very powerful. When the Lord sees that we are making an endeavor to glorify him, then he becomes attracted. Just like we found with Dhruva Maharaj and Prahlad Maharaj, they were chanting the holy name of the Lord, and they attracted the Lord. He was only just 5 years old. 5 years old. So yes, chanting is very, very powerful. The second one that I wanted to speak about is serving the Lord's lotus feet. So this is usually can be also referred to as worshipping the Lord. So when we worship the Lord, we are engaging our mind and we are also engaging our body. So these are the services that we can offer with our mind and body, because we are starting to meditate on the Lord. So when we are worshipping the deity of the Lord or the picture of the Lord, then the Lord feels personal and very active in our life. This is kind of similar to how a light bulb is illuminated when we attach it to electricity. So when we have the electricity of spirituality in our life, then we find that the Lord becomes attracted. The Lord becomes illuminated in our lives. So for example, we see here Krishna's dressed in this beautiful color. What color is he wearing today? Orange, yes, yes. Are there any other colors that are in this beautiful dress that we can see? Yellow, yes. One more color as well. Purple, purple. I heard someone say purple or blue. Yes. So doesn't the Lord look so beautiful today? But why does the Lord look so beautiful? I mean, he always looks beautiful. But the pujari, the dresser, the person who dressed the Lord and worshipped the Lord this morning, they thought about, okay, today's garland, what's today's garland going to be? It's going to be an orange-colored garland. So that means I have to kind of match the garland. So this is the outfit that I should wear. Then I need to find the jewelry which matches with the outfit. So the pujari, the servants of the Lord who are worshipping the Lord, they're constantly meditating. What can I do? How can I dress the Lord so that all the devotees who come here become attracted to the Lord when they see him on the altar? So this is the service of the body and the mind. Another important aspect of worshipping the Lord's lotus feet is that we also serve the sadhus of the Lord. We also serve the devotees of the Lord. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the 9th canto, the Lord is having a conversation with Dhruvasa Muni. And he says to Dhruvasa Muni, Sadhavo ridhayam mayam. This means that the sadhus are in the Lord's heart, and he is in the hearts of the sadhus. So the sadhus are very dear to the Lord. And so when we serve the sadhus, we get lots of blessings from them. What kind of blessings do we get from them? So the Lord is in their heart. And so that means that they can give Krishna to us. Those are the types of blessings that we can get from the sadhus. So when we serve the Lord, when we serve the devotees, the Lord becomes pleased, and the Lord enters into our heart through the devotees' blessings. So this is also a very important aspect of serving the Lord's lotus feet. Not everyone has the opportunity to worship the Lord on the altar, but we all have the opportunity to serve the sadhus, to serve the devotees of the Lord. And finally, I want to share with you one last thing. So this is the last process of devotional service that I want to focus on today. So we're doing 3 out of 9, offering obeisances unto the Lord. So when we bow down to the Lord, it's considered to be a service of the body. It has a very, very impactful effect on our consciousness as well. By bowing down before the Lord, we feel very humble. You know, it's said that the ego is contained in the head. When we say someone has a big head, that means they've got a big false ego. So when we put our head down to the ground before the Lord, we are being humble before Him. We are accepting our position as the servant of the Lord. So humility allows us to enter into a deeper relationship with the Lord, because then we can actually serve Him. We can actually say, "My dear Lord, I am just your simple, serious and sincere servant. Please accept me." So coming to the temple is an important part of doing devotional service, because we get to take darshan of the Lord gets to see us, we get to take some mahaprasad of the Lord, we get some purification in that way as well. We get to be in the association of His devotees as well. We get to hear about Him. And I just want to read one more thing, which is again from this conversation between George Harrison and Mukunda in the Chant and Be Happy book. So he says, this is George. "Yes, going to the temple or chanting with a group of other people, the vibration is much stronger. Of course, for some people, it's easy to just start chanting on their beads in the middle of a crowd, while other people are more comfortable chanting in the temple. But part of Krishna consciousness is trying to tune in all of the senses to all people, to experience God through all of the senses, not just by experiencing Him on Sunday, through your knees by kneeling on some hard wooden nila in the church. But if you visit the temple, you can see the pictures of God. You can see the deity form of the Lord, and you can just hear Him by listening to yourself and others say the mantra. It is just a way of realizing that all the senses can be applied to perceiving God. And it makes it so much more appealing. Seeing the pictures, hearing the mantra, smelling the incense, flowers, and so on. That's the nice thing about your movement. It incorporates everything: chanting, dancing, philosophy, prasad. The music and dancing is a serious part of the process too. It's not just something to burn off excess energy. So there's a nice formula which is given. It's the ABCD formula. This is ways that we can engage in devotional service. So this is my second to last point I will share with all of you today. So A stands for association. So when we are with like-minded people, we actually take on the qualities that they are exuding. So we might find this in our own lives. When we're with our work people, we want to do business, we want to make money. When we're at the temple, we want to chant, we want to sing about the glories of the Lord. So this is A for association. B is for books. So understanding the philosophy of love of Krishna is an important step to orientating us in the right direction. So today we read about the definition of devotional service. This is an important thing for understanding the goal, the thing that we are trying to reach to. So B is for books. C is for chanting. We spoke about chanting, and we spoke about why it's so important, what effects it has on us. So the holy name is actually considered to be the most merciful incarnation of the Lord. So we should chant Krishna's holy name. And D is for distribution. So we have something, we have a treasure chest of knowledge, a treasure chest of experiences of happiness. We should share this with others. It's said in the Bhagavad Gita in the 18th chapter that Krishna likes those who worship him. Krishna likes those who serve him. But Krishna loves those who serve others. Krishna loves those who shares his glories with others. So we should share this. We should distribute this knowledge. We are thieves if we just keep this to ourselves. So we should share this with others. So D is for distribution. So does anyone remember what A stands for? Association. B, books. C, chanting. D, distribution. Perfect, perfect. So we've talked about today the definition of devotional service. We said that devotional service needs to be unmotivated, it needs to be selfless. Anya bilashita shunyam. This is the goal that we are trying to aim for, and we need to create some intermediary steps so that we can achieve that goal. The second thing that we talked about was devotional service means to be active. We need to do something. And activity means that we are sacrificing our time and energy. We can either do this in a motivated way or an unmotivated way. The third thing that we talked about today is that bhakti is cultivation. We talked about the garden of the heart. I gave my story about the weed in my garden, this new discovery that I had made. So we need to remove the weeds from our heart to take care of this creeper of bhakti. And then finally we spoke on 3 different processes of devotional service. Out of the 9 we gave 3. We spoke about chanting, serving the Lord's lotus feet, and offering obeisances unto the Lord. We also read from this book, Chant and Be Happy, which is a very, very nice book. It talks about this process of chanting in a lot more detail. And in this, we gave the ABCD formula that we can use to apply in our devotional service. So, one last thing I want to talk about in our last 5 minutes before we close for today. Devotional service is meaning activity. It is also intention that we need to please the Lord. I was listening to a class by Srila Prabhupada, and he was sharing the example of Hanuman. The Lord also appeared before Hanuman, isn't it? We have Sitaram, Lakshman, Hanuman on our altar here today. So Srila Prabhupada said in his lecture that Hanuman didn't know the whole of the Vedanta philosophy because he was just an animal. He didn't spend time reading his books. But why is Hanuman glorified? Hanuman is known as a great devotee of the Lord because he lit the city of Lanka on fire. He brought medicinal herbs for Lakshman, and he fought valiantly in the battle against the armies of Ravana. So these may seem like strange activities, especially setting a whole city on fire. But this is what made Hanuman famous. Why was Hanuman made famous by these activities? Because he did it to please the Lord. So when we do something to please the Lord, And that is our only motivation. That is what is really attractive to the Lord. Now, whose birthday is coming up soon? Krishna's. Krishna's birthday is coming up soon. So what can we do for Krishna's birthday? Does anyone remember the ABCD formula? Yes? So we can do one bit of the ABCD formula. Maybe we can chant a little bit more on Krishna's birthday. We can offer this to him as a birthday present. We're going to be staying up until midnight anyway. God, he was born in the middle of the night, fasting all day. Krishna, Krishna. Such an austerity we have to perform for the Lord. So we have RT coming up very soon. So just before RT, we learned about this ABCD formula. And we want to let's do some chanting together just before RT. So can everybody sing with me? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you very much, everybody, for listening to me today. We'll have RT now, so thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
So if everyone can please stand up and come forward. So as the Aarti ceremony is going to be performed, we'll be singing this song, the Gaurati song, which is on the screen. Lead singer will sing one line at a time, and if you can follow the lead singer. And then we'll go on to chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And you can also join in with the dancing with the devotees. Shri Shri Radha Gokulanand ki, Shri Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki, Shri Shri Gaur Gita ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.
Keva Jaya Jaya Gaura Jane Arati Gajaba. Keva Jaya Jaya Gaura Jane Arati Gajaba. Janari dadavane Jagamanalova Dakini Jai Jai Bame Gada